back at any crack. Keep track of all the facts, cause I'll snap it all your flash.
What a track. I was coming on here to bounce the stems in a way that I could play them on a MPC, because I got an MPC Live 2 recently, which is sick. So I was coming on here and I'm like, wow, this is a sick track. And wow, this project looks like I did a lot in it. And it's taken a lot of CPU. And I remember like I was pretty proud of this mix and this song in general. So I thought I'd just do a little bit of a breakdown. You know, if you don't learn anything out of it, it's just as much for me, because I'll be able to look back at my process and be able to clown on it, because I was listening back and there's already things I found that I would do better. But that's the beauty of time. I feel like a lot of people look back on their old stuff and they cringe at it or whatever. Like, I don't cringe at this song. I still love this song. It's a part of your journey, and like, you don't have to force yourself to listen to it if you don't like it anymore. But if you didn't cringe at your old stuff, you're not getting any better. And, you know, that's really what we're in this game to do, just get better. So first thing I did when I wrote it at work on my phone. I just write it on notes. After I did that, I came back and I recorded it down. Let me break down this template for you real quick so it's easier for you to wrap your eyes around, but before we get into the whole breakdown. So this is FL Studio. If you're a complete beginner and you know nothing about music, it's a DAW. You can make music in this thing. Pretty cool. This window view is called the playlist. This thing that keeps popping up that's super colorful is the mixer. And then this is the channel rack, which is essentially a sequencer. So you can see here, Addictive Keys has these little notes, and these notes spread over time and you make music, baby. But we'll get into that a little bit later. This playlist, I've got my recording template, which looks like this, all colorful and stuff. Up here is my beat track. Oops. Shit, I'm making things small. Tempo match it to the grid. Make sure you do that, because I've had to re-record songs because I didn't do that. I mute that. But as I record, this is my recording track. You arm this to record. And every single one of these colorful, well, not every single one of these, but every single main one of these tracks where audio goes into, like this track and this track up, or this track up here, this track, blah, blah, blah. They're all routed. What's the word? What is the word? They're all routed. I was going to say coincidentally. I think that's right. They coincide. That's the word I was looking for. Each of these tracks coincide with the mixer track. So you can see beat is this track. And if you play audio through here, it's coming through that one. Ooh. And you see the audio go to here. Okay. So the beat is linked to the beat bus. And I'll show you why I do that a little bit later. And the beat bus is routed to the master. Okay. So we've got that. This is the recording track. This is where I record my vocals. La, 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 la. Like if my mic was going through FL, there would be an audio form here that looks like this. I record up here. Oh, here's a take I just did. Sick. So I slide it down into my lead vocal processing chain, which looks like this. This Edison, I could probably figure out what I was trying to do there. I used to write right into FL Studio. Since I've had a full-time job, it's changed a little bit, and I just have pulled back from writing like that a lot in general. But back when, especially in the early days, like my first 30 songs were written like this, just typing it on Fruity Notepad on the vocal channel. And if you do like punch in and stuff, or you just want a concise place to keep your lyrics, you should totally do something like this. That's just on there for visual purposes. It doesn't actually audio in any way. Imagine it if it did. Imagine if the words you typed on that processed it like according to the words. That's some like full AI shit. Someone should do that. An effect plugin that you type in it, how you want to make it sound. The first plugin is what's called an EQ. It shapes the frequencies. You can cut out frequencies. You can dip them, as you can see here. And this is a typical vocal EQ curve. You cut out everything below about 100, 110 for vocals, especially because you don't need anything below that frequency range. Those are the sub basses. Always cut the bass out of everything that is not your kicking your bass. You don't have to do that. I'm not your dad, but you know. Next up is what I like to do. I like to saturate my vocals. So Decapitator, second favorite distortion plugin. More on that later. So that's really, I should do a before and after. So this is what my lead vocal chain sounds like. This is without. When I was 21, the world shut down so I could find my voice. Look out for anyone who starts to doubt the fact I have a choice. Cut off the petty ones that bring you down. You gotta block the noise of Crazy, right? I should mention as well, on my recording track, I have auto-tune on here. This wasn't always the case, and you probably don't want to do this, in all honesty, but it really works for me, and this is why I do it. In the past, I had auto-tune on my lead vocal on my every single track, and if you're a mixing engineer and you've got a beefy computer, you could do that, but I'm on a laptop, and I don't really bother with that shit. So I record my vocals in with auto-tune, because when I'm recording here, I'm recording myself, and it's really easy. Like, I come here and I make music, so it's really accessible for me to just cut another vocal take if one clip sounds bad, you know what I mean? So generally, anyway, you take as you record it, you just re-record it if you don't like it. This template already has loaded with plugins, right, to make things sound the way I like it to sound. But yeah, next plugin on my vocal chain, Chorus, Microshift. It makes it sound like super 3D and like trippy, right? Let me really exaggerate it for you.
When I was 21, the wash it down so I could find my voice at cafe.
Yeah, because, and the reason I like to do this, when you record, if you don't know, through a microphone, it's mono. And what that means is it's coming through the left and right channels, or the left and right ear, equally. And for me, like, that feels a little bit too thin. I like a little bit of dimension to make it feel bigger in the stereo space. Like, if everything was mono, like this, ready, I can do this. No, not like that. Boom. That knob makes it stereo, more mono. I just monoed the whole master, so everything will sound mono. Ready? Never mind. 1 second.
When I was 21, the wash it down
Listen
so
to
I
the
could
difference.
find my voice at God for anyone who starts to doubt the fact I have a choice. Cut off the petty ones that bring you down. You gotta block the noise, avoid the heavy ones that weigh you down like ball and chain.
Crazy difference, bro. Those vocals sounded horrible because I didn't turn the effects back on. But it makes a massive difference on the whole track, that is. This 5%, little bit of a... you know what I mean? Really stretch it out. It just feels like it can sit on top of the mix, and like it's a lot easier to focus on if it's not just completely mono, because the kick and 808, I like to mix them very loud, and it sometimes can swash the vocal. So if you need to have vocal in your sides. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I digress. I waffle. I am yapping. Fruity Limiter. This is just a compressor. Okay, guys, calm down. I don't have a limiter on my vocals. And that's just really taming the peaks of the vocals. Ready? You can see it working there. Crash course and compression, if you don't know what that does, or what that is. It just essentially turns shit down, right? There are 4 main controls: threshold, ratio, attack, and release. Simple shit, right? A great analogy that helped me understand compression was the following. So you play music like this. This is coming through the speakers. I don't even know why I have headphones on. I should put them on. Yeah. Okay. You're playing music in your room too loud, and your mum comes in tells you to turn it down, right? Threshold is just it's the level in which, when the volume goes over that level, your mum or the signals that's going through your compressor is compressed or turned down. That's what compression does. Ratio is the amount in which you turn it down when your mum comes in and asks you to turn it down. Attack is how fast you jump up and hit the volume knob after she tells you to turn it down. And release is how much you turn it back up to what you had it before after she leaves again. Pretty simple. Yeah, what compression does is it just squishes it, makes it thicker, so when you turn it up, it's more prominent in the mix, okay? Booze. Okay, next plugin, Fresh Air. This plugin is free and it's fucking insane. If your vocals sound dull, get this plugin, okay?
When I was 21, the wash it down so I could find my voice at God for anyone who starts to doubt the fact I have a choice.
It's just breath. It's just breath. It just breathes life into it. It's just a breath of fresh air. That's why it's called Fresh Air. Okay, some more compression to really make it louder as well, because as you heard, the main difference between the raw unprocessed vocal and the processed vocal is the volume level. You want shit to be loud so you can fucking hear it, you know what I'm saying? So more compression. And now that that's happened, you can hear some unpleasantries, especially on the S's. So some more EQ. Heavy on the frequency range. Dynamic as well, so when the S's hit, it ducks those frequencies. Boosh.
When I was 21, the wash it down so I could find my voice at God for anyone who starts to doubt the
See it working there? You see how it sounds fucking sick now? You know what I mean? Beautiful. That's the vocal chain. I've got a lead double here that I don't really ever use, and now I've kind of repurposed as like an extra lead vocal, because it's like when I do collabs like with Verse. Me and Breezy, he just totally came through then. Then I have an individual lead vocal track, because fun fact, almost all of my collab tracks, it was just a version of this lead vocal track, and I just tweaked end EQ, even female vocals. And I know a lot of mixing engineers are going to go, what the fuck, bro. But anyway, yeah, that's the lead vocal. The BV bus, which is just the backing vocal bus, which means all these backing vocals are sent in one way or another to this bus, aka the doubles bus and the backing bus. You can see this little blue line, boost, boost. They're both connected. Wow, that's amazing. These doubles are sent to the doubles bus, and these backings are sent to the backing bus. So it goes the individual tracks to the buses or groups, whatever you want to call them, and those two groups / buses are sent to this bus, and that bus is sent to the vocal bus, where, coincidentally, the lead vocal is also going. So you can process all of your vocals in one track. So you can squish them together. You can make some macro changes in terms of tonal shape in your sound. I don't process my doubles individually. And this, essentially, as you can see, macro shift into capitator, this is just pretty much an old version of my lead vocal chain. At one point, my lead vocal chain and my chain to process my doubles was the exact same, because I'm not very good at mixing. So I just, if it sounds good enough, mate. The difference between doubles for me and backings is how they're processed. All the doubles are routed to the doubles bus and they're processed together, but each backing track is processed individually, so I can get different flavors or something specific. You know, you want some radio, you want some really distorted background layers, I can do that. Sick. So that's my template, pretty much all explained, and I'll explain the beat side of it after. But I mentioned before, I'm going to minimize all these automation tracks so it's easy to look at. It's there. So the audio in double left is automatically sent to double left, which is panned to the left. This is the little pan knob. See left, right, and this is why it's named like that. So this audio comes in this track and it goes to the doubles bus. It gets processed with the audio in the doubles right track because it's both sent to the doubles bus, and then it gets sent to the backing bus to be processed, which I rarely ever do. As you can see, there's nothing on here right now. And then it gets sent to the vocals bus, where it gets processed with the lead vocals. And then for this track, I only used one other like unique backing, and it is quite literally pretty much the same lead vocal track, but it's just put in a radio afterwards, which means, for those who don't know how to do a radio effect, you just cut the lows and the highs off your vocals, adjust it to kind of get exactly how you want it to sound, each band, and it sounds like it's in a radio. So that's like a creative decision that I use. So I recorded all my lead vocals.
Come a couldn't cope and left the lovers, but now it's desperate, take another shot to shoot the messenger. I try so hard to keep the...
Oh, bro, that's so hard. Fuck. I should briefly go through my vocal bus processing. I've got Soothe on here because I feel like the amount of compression I put on my vocals, it makes shit really fucking pokey and shit. So I put Soothe on there to try and suppress some of those resonant frequencies. Here's another EQ. He said, I think it does help in match the tonality frequency rise range to have the vocals glued together a little bit. You know what I mean? Some like group tonal EQing. That's a de-esser. So it's basically doing this exact thing in principle. And then I've got another Soothe because I wanted to clean up around the 1K range, apparently. Stop the vocals getting so pokey, because I do realize, and this is what I was thinking about before, what I wanted to say. Recording with autotune, like mixing autotune vocals, which is kind of, again, why I'm turning this lead double that I never use into another lead vocal, and why you should really never process two people's voices down the same track, especially if you're not using autotune. Because, long story short, when your voice goes through autotune, and in order for autotune to pitch correct your voice, you're gonna have to shift the frequencies of your voice, right? Autotune doesn't really think about what sounds good or not. It's just literally mapping everything to a particular note. All that to say is it creates resonances and like really pokey sounds, especially in the high notes, I've noticed, for me anyway, my voice, around like 1 to 3K. So yeah, something to look at. And Soothe really helps with that, because sometimes I get lazy and sometimes there's just too much for me to attack in one EQ. So I just fucking throw Soothe on it, and it just fucking makes it so good. So then that's my vocals, my vocal processing, blah, blah, blah. Sick. All right, let's get into the beat, bro. Because that's what I did. I recorded the vocals to that beat, and then I'm like, okay, I can't use that beat. I don't want to buy it. So I'm going to remake my own beat in a similar vibe, but I'm going to make my own beat. I listened to this original beat. And I'm like, okay, what kind of pitches or like chord progression is this using that I can borrow or take inspiration from, but have my own flair in the production side. And I'm like, okay, I want that kind of dark, moody feeling. I like that like top note that goes kind of vibe. So I always usually, pretty much 99.9% of the time, start with the piano, at least to get the pitch information vibe and chord progression down pat. Because if it sounds good on a piano, it's going to sound good in anything. And this is what I came up with. And this is just the exact same thing pitched up. So it's very simple. Messed with the velocities to make it sound more human. And I also shortened them to make it sound like it's tiptoey. Honestly, I could have even started the song just like. And then I layered that exact same melody, exact same notes with this patch, Analog Bank, Soft and Dirty. Which is a sound I honestly would never usually pick, but maybe under the piano. It was like weird and ominous, and I was like, I need a bell with this as well. So I found a bell, which is Old Tape Split in Analog Lab. And that's the bell sound that repeats through the whole song. Next, I was like, okay, I heard these big chord stabs on the piano, so I wrote those in. And they just dip down to D at the end of the 4-bar measure. And it has that, like, I feel like it really gives it swag, you know what I mean? Because he's just running and then it goes. So already, like, the melody has bounce, you know what I mean? And for me, like, if they aren't doing something that's contributing to the overall goal or image or visual for your track, then that's where your attention needs to go. And that's how you make good music. It's not like this stroke of luck, which sometimes it is, but it's generally just a small step after another small step after another small step of taking something that ranges from this is pretty good to like, wow, this is horribly bad. It's just little steps in improving it one step at a time to where you actually take something that could be something you don't like at all and you flip it, twist it, sample it, cut it, put drums on it. And at the end, you're like, wow, this is like one of the craziest things I've ever made. And the same goes for life, which is crazy. But yeah, this is the melody. Oh, that's what I was recording on this lead vocal. It's the flute. So my girlfriend, I think it was in Singapore on the way back from Japan. She bought me this flute recorder thing. And Versus, like, I'm pretty sure it was Versus said there should be a flute in the beat or something. Or maybe I did come to that conclusion myself. But anyway, I recorded that. Just one note of the flute. I love the airiness and the breathiness of that one. So that's what I picked. And then I just played it. We've got it hitting on E on the root note, and then it pitches up, like it slides. These cool things you can do in FL Studio, slide notes up to the 7th, or the 5th, not the 7th, the 5th. It's 7 notes above the root. You can hear that kind of slide as opposed to. I think it's really cool, and I don't think it's an element that a lot of people even can hear. Even though it's so simple, the beat, you know what I mean? So yeah, that flute's in there, the more you know. And then these are the drums without the 808 for now. Yeah, we got the kick, really basic pattern. Boo, 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 boo. Snare. Sick, hi-hat. Sweet, we got some bounce going. Open hats. Oh, it's more like a zippy one. That's cool. And this is another open hat, regular one. On that second snare. We've got 2 layered 808s. So you can see this Love 808 coming through this track here, and it's being really distorted by my favorite distortion plugin that's free called Ruiner. It's crazy, get it? And it's being high passed so that I've got the high distort. I should play it to you so you can hear it. That's hectic. That sounds sick by itself. And it's also layered with this contrabass, Contra 808. Wow. Is this Contra 808 made out of a contrabass? That would be crazy. I don't know why you'd name it that if it didn't. Anyway, it's not processed because it still has the low end intact. And then I'm compressing them and EQing them together to get them to sound like one 808. So this is what the Contra one sounds like by itself first. You get me? And because that doesn't really have much knock or transient in the beginning, like punch in the beginning of the sound, that's why we have the kick. One cool thing I did is I sidechained the kick to the 808 track. And I don't know how this works, but you're essentially sending the kick sound through the 808 track, but it's not actually sending any audio through it. It's so weird. I don't understand it at all, but I can use it to like soothe. I'm sidechaining, meaning sending the kick audio into this plugin so that it can cut the kick frequency scoop out of when the 808 hits so that the punch of the kick can sit on top of the 808. Does that make sense? Look at this. That's the kick. And it's clean as bro. So those are the drums. And that technique might have blown your mind, right? And it's setting off all of these ideas into your head and you're like, wow, I could do that for so many things. This is another thing that a lot of people, like beginner mixers especially. Number one, you should always address the problem at the root. But if you're really struggling or you want that little 5% extra, which is what I'm doing here, you send your vocal bus, because you want your vocals to sit on top of the beat usually. You sidechain the vocal bus to the beat bus. You put soothe on the beat bus and you cut the frequencies of the vocals as they hit out of the beat. So it sits perfectly on top of it. Hectic.
Wait, cause they attack, lash back at any crack. Keep track of all the facts, cause I'll snap at all your flash. Wish I had none loves, no time for...
So yeah, that's pretty much a breakdown of Can't Copy.
Can't copy, they pay the price.
Oh shit, it's hilarious. As soon as I said the video, as soon as I say I never really use the lead double, I used it here.
Can't copy.
I basically just cleaned it up to put it in a radio. Yeah, look at that. Booze.
Can't copy.
What? Let me talk to him for a second.
Can't copy. They paid the price, they plagiarize, can't save your life enough. I played it nice, yeah, gave it time, now vaporize these buds. I hate my life, love my wife, I didn't make enough time for not taking a time to
Hectic, bro. Go stream it. All the things left unsaid. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, @BreezyOfficial, boom, like and subscribe if you like this. I'm going to be, it seems like I'm on my YouTube game. I don't know how long this is going to last up for. It wasn't really an intentional thing, but sometimes those are the things that actually last. Peace.